Hey everyone, this is Sugandha and you're watching Ready for SS English and I hope so you all are well and you all are waiting for my sessions. Yes, as you all can see today we will be discussing statutory compliances, the most awaited session. And make sure to subscribe this channel if you're watching me for the very first time and do hit that cute notification bell icon so that you could get my updates whenever new sessions will be uploaded, right? So let's get started with it and now let's start from the beginning, and that is what are statutory compliances, why we are discussing about this actually. Now, in order to set up any company or you can say any organization, we need to follow certain rules and regulations, certain acts and certain compliances, certain legal procedures needs to be followed. You can't set up your company, you can't set up any institution, organization like this. You need to follow certain rules, right? In order to hire employees, in order to produce goods, services, or products, anything, in order to manufacture, there are certain acts which are which governs all the activities related to any setup of any organization. So similarly, we need to know about the rules and regulations related to the workers, employees, their salaries, their wages, and payment of wages, and other rules and regulations as well, right? This is just an example. We will be discussing a lot of acts over here, right? So statutory compliances are basically rules and regulations, or you can say legal procedures, which are defined in acts. And any organization, any company, any institution. Now, whenever I use the word organization, that includes any organization, means any company, institution, sole proprietorship, right? uh, Definitely we need to see what kind of acts are applicable, like what is the eligibility criteria, what all acts are applicable to certain organization. That is a different thing, but when we are discussing on the broader level, then obviously we are discussing about everything. And whenever we would be discussing about any act, any specific act, then yes, we need to see that does this act applicable on our organization or not, right? So this is all. This is why we are actually discussing about the statutory compliances, because when we are hiring any employee, when we are providing services, and when we are taking their services, when worker is working, and so we need to pay their wages, salaries, and how that will be defined, what will be the date of the payments, how, what all we can pay, what all will be wages, right? So all these are defined in acts and we need to follow them. That's why we are talking about statutory compliances, right? Not only wages and salaries, there are a lot of other things as well, about working hours, leaves, holidays, and lot more. Now, why HR should know them, right? This is the question, why HR should know this. See, an HR is, we have discussed several times that an HR is a mediator, intermediary between employer and employee. And we are hiring, means HRs are hiring on behalf of employer, on behalf of company employees. And we are dealing with the employees. So definitely we must be aware about these statutory compliances in order to hire the employees, workers, right? So as we are hiring them, we need to tell them their rights, duties, and incentives, commission, remuneration, and all the things related with that. So an HR should know about this. Now, next point is, and this is also very important, do we require to know complete act? Now this is the question which most of the people ask me, that ma'am, do we have to learn all the acts, means all the acts which are applicable on our organization, we need to learn each and every section, each and every clause, or how we can study acts, right? So as a law student and as a law qualified, I would like to tell you that yes, if you are interested and if you are keen to know the acts and you're keen to learn, then yes, definitely you can do. But if you're not that interested and if you find it boring and you're not able to grasp it, then yes, obviously I can give you a shortcut to know the acts, how you can know, right? So I would be telling you few steps, or you can say few points by which you can know the acts right. So first is categories of act. You must know what are the categories of act. Now, obviously, we all know that new labor codes have been introduced, and we would be discussing about them as well. But definitely, I would like to give you an overview of the acts which were prevalent before, which you can say which are prevalent before new labor codes, right? So that we can figure out the differences and we are able to understand why these labor codes are introduced, right? So what we can now here what we can do is in categories of act, like if we are talking about wages, what all acts are there for wages? If I give you just an idea, then if we are talking about wages, then yes, we should be aware about what minimum wages act, payment of wages act, equal remuneration act, right? So these are the acts we must know if we are talking about wages. Okay. Now if we wanted to if we are doing salary calculation, if you are doing if you are involved in payroll part, so what all PF, ESI, these kind of acts you must be aware. Definitely, we would be discussing all this in detail, but here I just want to give a brief idea that what kind of categories are there and what all acts are included in this, right? If you're talking about disputes, so obviously we should be aware about Industrial Dispute Act, right? So if you are only in recruitment and you are not with the payroll part, or you are not with the disputes, you are not with the grievance, you're not in the grievance committee, or you don't have any role related to that, then yes, you can skip and you can definitely know few things about it which are important for the organization, and the rest you can skip. Okay, but if you are dedicatedly, like if you're a payroll manager, then I prefer that you must be aware of a PF Act properly, ESI Act properly, Bonus Act properly, Gratuity Act properly. Okay, because certain amendments are there, or even if no amendment is there, only acts are there, then also you must be aware of all this. Fine. So this is first categories of act. Now second is obviously you must be aware of name of acts in different categories, as I told you. You must be aware of different acts in different categories, like different categories, and what all acts are there in this. Like I told you that if we want to discuss about, if we want to know about the wages, what all criteria is there for wages, then what all acts? Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Wages Act, Equal Remuneration Act, right? Now, third is content at a glance. Now, what content at a glance? So, what we are talking about? Content at a glance means you must know the index. Like, now, what is index and content at a glance? Here, I want to tell you that whenever we pick up any act, then what happen is that first page is meant for index portion, like we always have in our school books index, where chapters are mentioned, right? So in the content part, it's mentioned that what all provisions are available in different subsections or different sections. Okay, so we can have a idea, we can have an idea at a glance that what all content is included in this act. So this is very beneficial. This will be beneficial for us, like if we are looking for penalties under you can say Minimum Wages Act, or Payment of Wages Act, what are punishments and penalties. So what we can do is we can just see the content that and in content what all sections are for punishments or penalties, and then directly we can read those sections only, and we don't have to completely access that act, right? Whenever we require, we can read that section, and yes, we have an idea. So we must be aware of content at a glance, the sections and subsections, and what all headings are there. Fine. Next is fourth is applicability. Now this is very important. We should be aware about the applicability. Like if I'm talking about Minimum Wages Act, now this act applicability, we must be aware that on which kind of organization it's applicable. uh, is it applicable on my organization or not? Otherwise, I would be having a look at the provisions, and later on I'll came to know that this act is not applicable on me. Means just an example. Okay, so applicability portion must be, we must know applicability whenever we are thinking that yes, there is an act. Whenever we want that, if we are looking for provisions related to wages, then first and foremost thing is that we need to check all the acts related to wages, and then we need to check the applicability section from there, and we need to read that is this act applicable on me? Is this act applicable on me? Right? If it's applicable, then yes, then the story starts. Okay. Next is fifth is provisions. Again, it's very important. We must be aware about the provisions. As I told you that basic provisions you must be aware of. You must be aware of the headings. Now here I told you the content. Now in the third point we have already discussed about the content. That was only index we were watching. Now here we are discussing about the provisions. What all provisions are there? Like when we have seen contents, and in contents we found that these 4 or 5 provisions are very important for us, and we are looking for this. Then we must be aware of the provisions, we must read them. Now, one idea is if you are interested in Bare Act and you're able to understand, then yes, you can read it from the Bare Act. I always advise people to read Bare Act to understand the language, so that if any amendments are there, then we are not looking for any, translator, any simple translator who can tell us that what kind of amendments are there, right? We can read it ourselves. So it's always advisable that if we are in this domain, we are from law or we are from HR, then yes, we must be aware of how to read Bare Act and how to understand what kind of language Act says. So you can read, definitely you can read Bare Act, or otherwise you can watch or read from any simple version. If you can get notes from anywhere or what, then you can read from there. Okay, but I will definitely say that read Bare Act and try to understand in simple language from somewhere else. You can relate it, and then you would be able to know how Bare Acts are written, what and how the language is drafted actually. So this was all like these are the 5 points. These are basically 3 points which I have told you, and I hope so this was helpful. If it's helpful and if you want to add something, I will be waiting in comment section. Till next video, all the very best. Stay happy, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.